Mr. Carl, do you have a question?
I do. I'd like to answer that first woman's question, though, if I could.
Well, sir, you can do that after the meeting is adjourned, if you would like.
Let me just answer.
No, actually, Mr. Carl, could you please show me the respect? I said you can answer that after the meeting is adjourned if you would like. And you can speak more specifically.
Ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
We'll use your format. So since you obviously don't want these people to know what's on their ballot, it's been made deliberately confusing. The answer to your question is, it's been made confusing on purpose to fool you. That's why the question that went through.
Sir, that's not a question.
The question is, in issue 12, and we can go one by one. Issue 12, does that raise the amount of signatures that a person needs to put an issue on the ballot? And does it raise the amount of signatures from 3,600 to 13,000? Does that issue 12 raise the signature level from 3,600 to 13,000? And do you think that's reasonable?
Oh, the people here that live in Ward 8 that elected me, do you want to hear this debate, or...
That's a question. That's not a debate.
I'm asking my constituents what I want.
I'd like an answer. Yeah.
An answer.
All right, the answer to that question is, issue 12 does raise the number of signatures. And the reason it does that is because if you go with the number of people that voted in an election, that can be skewed very easily. All that has to happen is that one party can decide not to run somebody in that race, and turnout would be very low. That means that then it would take very few signatures to get something on the ballot. Now, in democracy, we want people to be involved in their elections and their government. Part of that means using elections for things that a good portion of the people believe in and are willing to express an opinion on. So if you have too few signatures that are required, then people that have an agenda can try to get something on the ballot that may not be in the best interest of the electorate. In addition, it costs the voters money if there's a special election, which we're all aware of, like happened last year. Now, not only that, but one of the things with initiatives and referendums, initiatives particularly, is that if they're not written by somebody who knows how to write law, you can get really bad law. And one of the things that passed in '98 that a lot of people feel very good about was the election reform. However, out of those 8 parts of that election reform bill that passed, 4 of them got thrown out by the Supreme Court. What can happen is, if you have somebody writing it and submitting it, and they have a specific agenda, or they don't know the law, they don't know what's constitutional, what isn't, then you end up passing things that then get thrown out. It costs money to go through that process. It takes time to go through that process. And so that's why if you raise the number of signatures, it's not about raising the number of signatures by having it as a proportion of the registered voters, which is a pretty steady number. It doesn't change a lot. So it's a lot more fair. And then that way it's something that truly a groundswell of the electorate believes in and is willing to vote on. So you don't have, right, there's a Charter Review Commission, which had people from both parties that recommended that. So that's why issue 12 does that. Are there any other questions?
Ma'am, with respect, you didn't answer my question. The question was...
I didn't answer the question. You asked to raise the number of signatures required, and I said yes. Are there any other questions?
No, ma'am. The question was, does it raise the signature level to 13,000? And given that the mayor only needed 9,000 some to get elected, does 13,000 signatures seem reasonable to you?
The reason it only took 9,000 is because it was not a contested election. A lot of times, if it's not contested, people simply don't vote. Or people don't turn out to vote because it's not something they're issuing. I'm not going to continue to have a debate about whether it was right or wrong. I shared with you why it is what it is on the charter amendments, and why it is what it is on the ballot, and it's up to you to vote on it. Do we have any other questions from anyone else about the issues? Thank you very much for joining my meeting. I appreciate it. Have a great night.